Do you ever feel to be split in between two worlds? Working a full-time job and consistently creating art could pretty much feel like that. Today's video is in this topic. Meanwhile, I show you some of my recent art while I am varnishing them. Balancing a 9 to 5 job and making art is really challenging, and being consistent needs enormous effort and discipline. And most of the times, it's not only these two you have to keep up with, but do you have friends to hang out with, a family to spend quality time with? Maybe you have a dog to walk 3 times a day or kids to take care of every day. Oh, and yes, do you have to buy groceries, pay bills, keep deadlines, and have doctoral appointments? If this wouldn't be enough, maybe you also want to cook and eat healthy, exercise and maintain a healthy body, and have some time alone sometimes. The list just goes on and on and on. All of a sudden, life can become this constant juggling and prioritizing between all these things. So, how do you have time and energy for art? Well, this highly depends on your personal situation, and I will share what is working for me, but I'm sure you can cherry pick from these ideas. So let's start with the job, and let's assume that you want to keep your full time job, at least for the time being. If this job is something that you actually like to do, then most probably you wanna be successful in it. Or if this is just a way to earn money, you perhaps still want to get a decent quality and quantity of work done. But your bare minimum is that you want to avoid complaints from your colleagues and your boss. So I advise that you keep this job safe by being accountable and keeping your deadlines. So that you can avoid to pile the work up and doing overtime. You don't need the unnecessary stress in your life. In this way, once you are out from your workplace, you can truly leave it behind and your full attention can go to your art. Although being fully present while you are at work is important, but is there any way you can use some time to feed your inspiration? Here I think about rather mechanical or routine tasks. For example, I am working in a scientific field and many times I need to acquire microscopic images and compare them or analyze them. And to be honest, for this I don't really need to think much. So many times I just listen YouTube videos about art or some philosophical discussion that inspires me or motivates me and potentially gives me some ideas for my next painting or my next video. Also, could you make something more out of a lunch break than just simply eating in your office? I have about an hour for lunch. I am really lucky because the forest is just about 2 minutes walk from my office and it has this beautiful lake view and passages going through small gardens with animals. I see happy dogs running around and I just love spending time there, sitting on a bench and listening to the birds. It can be truly a meditative experience. Many times I prepare my talking point for such videos like this, or I just walk for 30 minutes to keep some exercise. But many times I just sit there, not doing anything and not thinking about much. So this break can be so useful and recharging. Even if you work in the middle of the city, check if there is any green spot or a park nearby where you can escape for a short while and take a true break. Now, let's discuss a bit about family and social life. Here as well, you want to make sure that you always have time to nurture these relationships. You don't want to neglect this aspect of life. But you also have to make sure that your friends and family understand the importance of art in your life and they are ready to support you. What I mean is that you don't need to satisfy everyone's needs at all time. Being a bit selfish in a healthy way is okay. Also, you should be able to communicate your own needs clearly and tell that you are the best version of yourself if you have some time to create, and for this you need some of the evenings and some of the weekends as well. Believe me, someone who loves you will accept and understand this. Another good way to get some extra time is to hire some help if you can afford it. If you see that half of your weekend is going away with cleaning the house or gardening, or you could spare 1 hour not walking the dog or having a babysitter, it's a good idea to free this time up and rather pay for it. You can also think about it as buying some time back with the money you earn from your job. One thing is important here: the time that is freed up must be spent on your art. I recently read this study that people are actually happier if they have this free time, but only if they actually spend it on something they like. I also want to mention another point here is the importance of being in the present moment. I many times felt guilty while making art because then I am not with my friends or family. But I also felt guilty when I was with them because I was not proceeding with my art. And I realized that this makes no sense. I know it's really difficult not to be stressed about time management, but it is easier to be in the present moment once you realize that if you have these thoughts, they will just hold you back and take away all the happiness that you can have while doing these activities. So don't be your own obstacle. When you are with your family, be with them fully. When you are making art, fully focus on your art. And when you are doing your job and you need full attention, just do it. Another way to save time is to cut back on sleep if you can. I know it's pretty difficult to hear this. For example, I was sleeping an average of 7 to 8 hours, which I could cut back to 6 to 5 hours. So I get an extra 2 to 3 hours to work on my art. I love to sleep, believe me. So in the beginning, I thought that this will be difficult. And to be honest, I was not planning to do this for a long period of time. Actually, I realized that it works for me. I can sleep on the weekends a bit more. I thought that I will be constantly tired and out of energy, but doing a bit of meditation every day or small walks, and of course, eating healthy and drinking enough water helps a lot. So try yoga or something that switches off your thinking and it will actually refresh you and keep your energies up, even if you cut back on sleep. But it's really important that if you cannot go with less sleep, then don't force it. Don't compromise your health on art or anything else, as a matter of fact. Also, slowing down sometimes is really good. Go for holidays when you don't think about your job, you don't think about your painting. Recharging is really important when you don't do anything. I have some practical and technical tips for the end of this video. Having a calendar is helpful, but keep it easy. Don't feel too pressured by it. Find a balance to finish things in time when possible, but also give a time window if you can. Plus minus few days will not matter in a long term. It's good to have a plan, but deadlines should not take away the enjoyment of art. Otherwise, it makes no sense to create. Also, planning too much or too less is also not a good idea. Planning too much obviously will exhaust you and you will get overwhelmed. But planning too little, well, it can happen that your art will get postponed to tomorrow or the day after or the day after. I already talked about the option of having paint coaching or art coaching. For me, this is very good for consistency. Having a weekly discussion with someone, checking how your art is going that week, is really helpful and really motivating as well. Check out my previous video in which I was talking about this. You can find it down below with the links or just popping up. Another way to get faster in painting is to organize your studio better so that you can get to the work quicker. The preparation should not take too much time. Actually, this is my next step because I realized that my studio slows me down. So I will now do a studio makeover and hopefully I will be able to share this with you. Also, if you can afford, make your art easier by the proper setup and good quality material. It's less struggle if you have everything right, and the process is more enjoyable by using good quality material. Of course, if you just buy your first paint or first art material, don't spend your money on the best one, but in long term, this is actually helpful. And my last tip, I think, is an important one. Please reduce your phone time and social media time. Put this energy and time in something else and keep as little time as possible on social media. The good thing about YouTube is that it can really inspire you, so I love to listen to it. But when you catch yourself just scrolling down endlessly on Instagram, for example, looking at other people's work, maybe even comparing yourself to other people, well, I think this is not what you need. It's really interesting to see what other people do. I also spend time checking it. Sometimes it's amazing works. I follow a lot of very good artists and I love their work. So I like to check it out from time to time, what they are working on. But it's important to feel when this is too much and it turns into a waste of time. I am saying bye for now with this Matrix themed painting. If you have not seen the movie, I fully recommend it. I was really inspired by this, and one day I was thinking what would happen if you take both the red and blue pills. So in this painting, the girl is taking both of them and she actually gets split between two alternative realities, and this painting represents this moment. Please don't let this happen to you. Don't get split into two realities. Living a full life in harmony, working full time and doing art is really challenging, and sometimes all goes well, sometimes it seems that nothing works out. But try not to take things too seriously and try to enjoy all areas of life and think about how lucky you are that you have the freedom and passion to create and you have the family and friends who you love. And think about it, because you have your full time job, you don't need to put pressure on your creative self to extract money from it. And if you would like to become a full time artist at some point, as I do, then strategize rather and build up a long term plan. Important thing is that you don't exhaust yourself on the way, so you don't need to take a longer break. Years can pass by just because you want to take an innocent few weeks of break. This happened to me when I was writing my PhD thesis. I wanted to take about a month or two out of painting. Well, in the end, I took 3 years of break and I only got back to painting when COVID hit and we were in lockdown. So, also, don't make unreachable objectives because that can also be exhausting. For example, everyday painting works out for many people, but if you see that this is not for you, plan some other creative activity like sketching or watch a cool movie like Matrix and lower the number of days of actual painting. This is it for now. See you in the next video. Bye.